Hello, hello, and welcome to this episode of the Nerds of the North podcast, episode number 15. It's been a bit since we've uploaded an episode, not that anyone would know. And today we'll be discussing the last two episodes of the new hit television series through Disney Plus, Loki, episode 4 and 5. So I guess to kick things off, I am host number 1, as usual, Matt, and joining me today is host number 2,
Nick. Nick is here.
So Nick, what did you think of episode 4 and 5? I guess we'll kind of go chronologically. Start with episode 4, work into 5, and then just kind of do an overall discussion. So, what did you think of episode 4?
So I was I was more than pleasantly surprised by episode 4. Going into episode 4, I was prepared to be a little bit disappointed with where the show was going, especially after episode 3, which I thought was a little bit slow, and I didn't really think moved the story forward that much. But episode 4 just was like blew everything up. Like it just was not I was not expecting what happened with that, with basically half the cast seemingly dying. I think by the end of that episode, specifically Loki and Mobius, and then what's her name, the head of the Hunters or Minutemen or whatever, basically going against the TVA, and then the head getting chopped off, the Wizard of Oz. So it was not where I was expecting it to go. It was kind of crazy. It was like, I did like it, but I almost kind of felt like they needed another episode there to really sell the show, like just kind of like maybe a zany episode with Mobius and Loki before things went
South so fast.
Went to shit.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I liked episode 4. Definitely was the best episode of the show, probably, even after episode 5. So yeah, I had a really good time with episode 4, especially that post-credit scene was pretty awesome. When you see all those Lokis, I think we were all expecting that. I know I was, but to actually see it come to fruition was pretty sweet. Seeing old Loki, young Loki, and apparently boastful Loki, and also an alligator Loki.
An alligator Loki, yeah.
I like that kind of weird, sort of absurd sort of stuff. So I dug that. So yeah, I really liked episode 4. And then in episode 5, obviously things got even crazier with them being at the end of the universe. And I think Goliath was the creature's name. This big, my first thought was Lost with the smoke monster, which should definitely have sort of a similar effect that they used to create that, I think. But it was really cool. I liked all the other Lokis, except for maybe like President Loki and his gang of Lokis. I thought that was kind of half-baked a little bit. But yeah, I mean, I dug it. Especially my favorite Loki is probably Alligator Loki, because he just had all the best lines.
Weird.
Yeah. And I also like how they kind of played with some like zany sort of paranormal stuff in it, because they brought in a ship that was supposedly part of the Philadelphia experiment, that just kind of landed and got completely destroyed by Goliath. And there was some other kind of weird stuff in there, I guess. Like there was an arcade machine that there's conspiracy theories about it, I guess in the 80s, that if you play this arcade game that you would get, it would like overwrite your mind or something. Like that, some sort of US
interesting. I hadn't heard any of that.
Yeah, I didn't know about it either until I was watching like a kind of a recap of the episode. But there was a lot of really interesting, weird stuff in that episode. Also, there was Thanos' helicopter in the background.
Yeah, I noticed that Thanos helicopter. Part of me wondered if that was part of like a toy line. Like,
no, it was like it was like I don't know what era it came from, but Thanos had a helicopter in the Marvel universe, like this kind of cheesy looking helicopter, and so it was a joke, like that Thanos, this crazy, ultra boss bad guy, had some stupid little helicopter. He
had a helicopter.
Yeah,
makes me think of like the Spider Cycle or something like that.
Yeah, it's like his version of the Batmobile, but not cool at all.
Well, it
looked really, I don't know, maybe it could be cool, I don't know, but this wasn't, I don't think.
I have a hard time imagining like Thanos piloting a helicopter being cool. It'd be like, why the dude's got the Infinity Stones, what need does he have for a helicopter?
Yeah, I don't really know. I don't know what was behind it, why he had a helicopter in the comics. Maybe he just needed to get around, or I don't know. But
I
yeah,
mean,
he
as far
seems
as
kind of,
we're aware, Thanos can't fly. So I mean,
yeah. But there's a lot different between Thanos in the comics and Thanos on in the MCU. So
hmm,
I don't know. I don't
he
know
is
why he had a helicopter. I should probably know, but I don't.
he is
But
remarkably more nuanced of a character in the film, it seems.
yeah, I hate how this light is like right on my glasses. Maybe that's better.
Sorry,
Um,
it gives you the hacker look.
yeah.
Time to hack.
But yeah, I thought episode 5 was good as well. It still actually might end up being my least favorite of the 3 MCU shows, depending on what happens next episode. So
Really?
yeah,
Wow, I am
just
legitimately surprised that you would rank Falcon and the Winter Soldier above Loki.
for pure entertainment value, for me, I would, because I loved making fun of that show so much.
I mean, there was a lot to make fun of, I think, but I think in terms of, I guess I think of it more from like just the intrigue of the show and like my excitedness for the show. I was never that excited for an episode of Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Like something totally mind blowing could have happened during the course of Falcon and the Winter Soldier, but like we all kind of knew that Falcon was going to inherit the mantle of Captain America and put his own spin on it.
Yeah.
And that ultimately was what the show was about, was make Falcon Captain America. And we all kind of knew that going into it, which is fine. But like Loki is a show that definitely seems to have much more implications on the overall MCU at large. And that's especially because of episode 5. I mean, like, I guess brief synopsis on like 4 and 5 for me, like, yeah, I mean, I never thought that we were going to get like a fake timekeepers take. I thought they were going to actually be like a real set of entities that we got to interact with in some way. So the fact that they were all fake probably shouldn't have been that surprising to me, but I was kind of holding out on them maybe subverting that a little bit, because that seemed, I won't say it seemed like the easy way out, but it certainly seemed like something that would be kind of choreographed. Um, but that being said, I definitely am really into the chemistry between Sylvie and Loki. Um, it just seems like the most Loki thing in the world to be like into himself. You know what I mean? Like the most narcissistic, egotistical thing would be to like, hey, I'm looking pretty good today. Like,
Yeah.
and but yeah, honestly, the one of the performances I was really most pleased with just in watching the show was uh yeah, the head of the like TVA security, or like the task force, I guess. Like that actress, I thought did like a really good job of like being just kind of the henchman, and then being um like having her mind messed with by Sylvie, and then moving into outright defying the TVA, and like describing like why Sylvie would win versus the TVA was something that I was found very compelling of a character. I hope she gets more screen time.
Well, so her name is Ravonna Renslayer.
Renslayer. Is that
Yeah.
her real name or is that the show name?
The actress's name is Gugu Mbatha Raw, but the character's name is Ravonna Renslayer, which, just for your edification, that is Kang's girlfriend in the comics.
I'm feeling like your Kang the Conqueror thing is becoming wildly more
Yeah.
possible by the moment.
Yeah, and actually, if you look at Avengers Tower, like obviously New York was like post-apocalyptic. Instead of like the A on it or whatever, it had Kang it was Qing, I believe, which apparently in the comics, a corporation bought out the Avengers Tower, Kang Corporation, or Kang, and then it turned out that Kang was behind it. The character Kang, that was his company, and yeah. So I wouldn't be surprised if we got some Kang in the season finale coming up here.
Man, well, okay, then that kind of leads me into an interesting thought of, I mean, maybe not interesting, but curious thought of,
I bet it's going to be interesting.
I mean, well, my thought is more of like how they're going to visually represent Kang, because like I mentioned this to you in another podcast of like how having another purple villain like seems a little funny, like going straight from Thanos to Kang. Not that they're both necessarily purple, but like blue, purple, like uh, aliens with different colored skin, that are seemingly like ultra powerful. Like that seems kind of odd to me, especially when we're looking down the barrel of like Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, and the implications of WandaVision. And Falcon and the Winter Soldier doesn't matter so much in that regard, but like we're still looking at like multiverse implications here. Episode 5 of Loki clearly introduces, like a future version of Loki that's older and wearing this like uber retro costume, which is super awesome. And this younger version of Loki that like in the course of the episode, he reveals that like he killed his Thor. Even like boastful Loki, as you described him. Like I loved that he seemingly had like a hammer, much like Thor has. We even see Mjolnir in the episode.
We also see Frog Thor in the episode too.
That who that was? That was Frog Thor. Okay,
yeah.
I was distinctly thinking, it's like, is that Frog Thor? I don't know if they would do that like just as like a one-off, but I guess they did.
Yeah, it's kind of weird because I watched it right when it came out on Disney Plus for the West Coast. It's basically right at midnight.
Mm-hmm.
And like I was kind of tired when I was watching it, and so I think I was kind of zoning out when that passed, because it passes really quickly, and I'm like, wait, something just happened. So with because he's like trapped in a bottle and he's trying to get out, and it's between the Loki's like little hideout in the upper world. Yeah.
Oh man, I love that.
Yeah,
love those little details.
It's pretty bonkers. Yeah, they just threw everything in the kitchen sink.
Yeah, like the fact that they threw so much in just makes me think like what the hell they could be doing with the final episode. I mean, because at this point, like honestly, what really sold me on this whole notion is that actress playing a character who is traditionally Kang's girlfriend in the comics, that really sells me on the whole Kang theory. Like, because why would they include her if not for the fact that maybe she's going to be involved in some way?
I think traditionally she was associated with the TVA in the comics as well.
Mm-hmm.
But the TVA and Kang have a long history together in the comics. So yeah, Kang's a pretty weird villain, actually.
That's generally been my impression of him, because my knowledge of Kang isn't very deep, but from my understanding of him is he's a future relative of Reed Richards.
Yep.
And with that being the case, that brings a lot of implications. I mean, we already know we're getting a MCU Fantastic Four film at some point, probably several years from now, but regardless, that directly ties, a relative of a Fantastic Four member, Reed Richards, to the MCU. So like that's just making it more and more real and how that's going to pan out in the future.
Yeah, because you're right. King is a distant like relative in the future of Reed Richards, who can time travel essentially. Well, he can time travel. And apparently, even in the comics, like there's several times when different versions of King are at war with each other because, like, in the timeline, which is kind of strange. Which I almost like. If it's not Kang, I almost think it's gonna be a Loki that's behind everything. Because there's been several like hints that it could be Loki behind it all, like just another version of Loki.
Another version of Loki.
Yeah.
I mean, that would be interesting, but like,
Yeah.
who would they? Would it just be another Tom Hiddleston?
I don't know.
Like, yeah, because I would. We all love Tom Hiddleston as Loki at this point. Like, who could they possibly have that plays, seemingly the smartest ultimate Loki, the evilest Loki.
Yeah, it's like Evil Morty.
Yeah, right. Yeah, like it seems like, I mean, I really love the presentation of.
Or maybe here's a crazy theory I haven't thought of. Like, what if it's Loki and Sylvie's child that's behind everything?
Okay, that could be very interesting.
Because we saw like when they held hands before they thought they were gonna die. Like there was like a crazy divergent timeline branch that came off, so that hasn't really kind of been explored yet. So I don't know.
Yeah, because I mean that would be. See, like I don't want to spoil myself. I've tried my best to leave myself unspoiled by looking things up because there's just such a long history in the comics of a lot of interactions between these characters that can ruin a lot of the fun of a show.
You gotta be careful talking to me then.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and like, well, like the Kang thing, like that to me, like is a fun spin foil hat type thing because like the who done it, who the villain is a fun discussion to have. But you start making more direct comparisons of like, oh, has a character named Sylvie ever, like that is Loki, like bore a child for Loki.
I don't think so. I don't think there's anything like that.
So like, if the MCU has been consistent about anything, is that they haven't really ever. I'm not going to say this with confidence. I'm going to say this with tepid optimism that I'm right. That generally they don't pull things out of their ass. Like there's usually some source material for the decisions they make that are story driven. Maybe not so much like aesthetically with any of the characters or anything like that, age, gender, whatever.
Except for the best character ever, Ralph Boner, right?
Yeah, Ralph Boner. Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know. Like, the jury's still out, man. Like, who knows?
I don't know. There's been some controversial decisions they've made. I think Ralph Boner is one of them, and then the Mandarin, which they seem to be going out of their way to fix. And then apparently, I don't really know yet, but apparently the Taskmaster isn't really from Black Widow, like that villain. He doesn't really live up to his comics namesake. But I'm not that familiar with the Taskmaster in the comics, but apparently he's a really cool villain. But I guess the character in the movie is quite a bit different. And I'm only halfway through Black Widow actually, so I can't really comment on it. He seems fine so far. He's not really a talker.
Yeah. I mean, like my experience with Taskmaster is very is not very traditional, I guess. Or maybe I don't know, depending on like what your background is, maybe it is very traditional. My experience with Taskmaster is my first experience with him was from Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3. He's a fighter in that game. And he's a mimic. He perfectly mimics the fighting styles of different heroes. And so his fighting style in that game is very much like kind of a mixture of like, I know for sure Captain America and Spider-Man is based off his moveset. But the coupling into that, he also plays a role in the Sony PlayStation 4 Spider-Man game as a villain that you deal with on a fairly regular basis, doing challenges against him. Um, and his style in that game is very much the same of like if you use one tactic against him, then you can't use it again to be able to defeat him. So like the
So it's like
mimicry.
Mirror Link
Yeah, actually, that's not a terrible comparison. I mean, like,
or whatever that is. It's Mirror Link, right? I got that right.
yeah, Mirror Link, Dark Link,
I'm gonna just look it up real fast.
but honestly, it reminds me a ton, like, video game wise, it reminds me a ton of the boss fight against Mr.
Link.
Freeze in the Batman Arkham series. Where like Batman has a whole slew of gadgets you can use to beat the boss, but you can only use each one once. After you do damage to the boss once with that tactic, you have to change tactics because if you try and use it again, Freeze has a counter to it now. So like, but yeah, Taskmaster is that type of villain. So
yeah, he retains some of that in the movie so far, but he's definitely, I get the vibe that he's kind of like a sort of like a Terminator kind of character. Like basically he has one task and he goes and does it and doesn't care about anything else, like I guess the task, he's taskmaster. You just give him a task and he does it, but he does seem to like he can like learn other people's moves, so
yeah, I mean, like a mimic, I'm trying to remember, there's like I feel like there's a term for that, like where you can like perfectly mimic someone's like movements or like the like it has something to do with like the mirroring the physical movements of another person. I'm trying to remember what it's called. But yeah, like he is that type of character. But how do we even get on Taskmaster?
I'm mimicking you, man, if you can't tell. We were talking about Black Widow, but I don't really know how we got there. Anyway, so yeah, Loki. We were talking about Kang, I think, maybe.
But
oh, you were saying something that you had faith that you thought they were not going to go do some crazy out of left field thing because
but generally they have like well, and that's, I don't know, with watching Loki, I'm now questioning how certain films are going to pan out in the future. What immediately came to my mind was Thor Love and Thunder, like how they're going to introduce this idea of Lady Thor to the series. Because like that ultimately seems like where they're going, right? That like Jane Foster is going to become
Lady Thor.
But is it going to be like Natalie Portman as we know her, like, or is it going to be a different like actress from a different universe who also happens to be Jane Foster?
Yeah, I mean that's an excellent question. I don't think we will know until we watch it, so
yeah, and like so that it just, what Loki has done is really like blown the doors off of like what is possible, because in a way that like I thought WandaVision was going to do, but ultimately didn't, and it was all because of Ralph Boner. but yeah, like we're looking at a future here with the MCU that things are opening up a lot. Like we've seen several different versions of Loki, many different versions of Loki that come from different timelines, from different realities where things went differently, and like the possibilities are endless now. And so like what we're going to see in the films moving forward is going to be really interesting.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think we're in for some interesting times in the MCU, because I personally think by the end of Loki, I think you're going to see probably like a kind of a crumbling of the TVA. So, but one thing about it too, like I don't really think like Sylvie's little time grenade things going off, I don't know if that was ever really resolved either. You know what I'm talking about? Like at the end of like episode 2.
Well, that was like the whole reason they were going after her in the first place was that she was up to something,
Yeah.
and it really seems like, and I don't know, maybe that's going to be the,
Or maybe that was like a distraction that she was using that she could get into the TVA. I don't know.
well, no, I mean, like so many divergent timelines started, like we saw it visually on their,
Yeah.
bars and graphs they've been using that, they can see when a divergent timeline starts, and so many of them started.
Yeah.
And then Sylvie and Loki went to the TVA, seemingly causing a lot of chaos. So it,
At least I thought that was going to be a bigger deal when it happened, but it just kind of didn't. Nothing ever really came from it, you know?
yeah. Well, and that's kind of what ultimately leads to my question of what is the motivation of this woman at the TVA? Um, what's her face? Like the big head
Renslayer?
honcho.
Renslayer?
No, not. Oh yeah, Renslayer. Yeah, like.
I think honestly, right now, that she's trying to get to the bottom of who's in control.
Mhm.
However, there is something that she's hiding about Sylvie. Um, I don't think it's there's something special about Sylvie that I don't really think we know what it is quite yet.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, I'd be curious to find out what that is because I think she knows something about Sylvie that she's not telling us.
Mhm.
Because when Sylvie straight up asks her, unless she just doesn't know, but when she says, like, why did you do like why was I a divergent? And she's like, I don't remember, you know?
Right, which is a real cop out answer.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we really don't know. Yeah, because I mean, even Loki asking his other selves about running into a female version of themselves, they all seemed pretty skeptical about that even being possible. And yet here we have Sylvie. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, I think you're right. Something clearly special about her, and we don't know yet. The fact that she started on the run so early in her life from the TVA and has managed to run for so long, like clearly makes her very gifted. But yeah, like why they're after her in the first place is such a weird.
Yeah. Um, did you happen to see the What If trailer that came out?
Hell yeah, that
Yeah,
trailer looks so dope.
that was pretty cool. I was pretty jazzed for that. Also, the Star Wars Visions trailer came out, which I was pretty excited about too.
What is Visions?
So it's like like what the Animatrix is.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, if you don't know what the Animatrix is, so it's like back in the day, they basically the makers of the Matrix, which is the Wachowskis, they hired Japanese studios, anime studios, to make a bunch of animated shorts for that to kind of fill in the backstory of the Matrix. And so they're kind of doing the same thing with Star Wars. Lucasfilm is hiring a bunch of animated anime studios in Japan to make a bunch of Star Wars shorts. Yeah, it's pretty cool. And I'm totally into it. I don't think they're going to be canon stories, which I was kind of upset with at first, but now I'm kind of liking it. I
Mm-hmm.
think it kind of gives them some freedom to kind of do some weird stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm pretty excited about that. I'm actually really excited about that. It comes out in September, so
Wow, September. That seems
don't
so
have to
soon.
wait too super long for that. What if, which is Marvel Studios animated show, comes out next month, I believe, August 6th. So that's not too far away at all either.
No. That was really exciting. Yeah, because I mean, I'm excited for What If because I didn't. My impression of the show initially was that there was going to be a lot of one-off
Hmm.
episodes of, like what if Captain America was, Captain Peggy or Captain Carter
Captain
is what she
Britain
goes by.
or
Yeah, like Captain Britain or England or whatever the hell you want to call it. But or what if Star Lord was,
T'Challa.
Wakandan was T'Challa. Yeah, like
Yeah.
um But the fact that they're weaving it all into one narrative is really cool. Like I did not
Yeah.
think they were going to go that way.
Yeah, me either. That actually made me quite a bit more excited for it. That there'd be like an ongoing story through it, narrative thread through it.
Hmm.
And the more like the closer we get to it, the more I think it's going to tie into the MCU in ways I wasn't really expecting either. Just with the whole multiverse thing that's going on, it's becoming
Sure.
so prominent um, currently with the MCU. So for a moment there in that trailer, I thought they had one of the Spider-Men from Enter the Spider-Verse. Wouldn't that be crazy if that
Oh
was
my God.
yeah.
I mean, can you imagine the implications of combining the animated series shows and movies with the MCU? That would be so bonkers. Like that would
I mean,
I
technically
mean
they should exist all like within the same multiverse,
I
so
mean, I would welcome that with open arms because like if they wanted to bring characters from Into the Spider-Verse into the MCU as live action. Can you imagine? Holy shit! Can you imagine if they if they brought oh my gosh oh my god, why am I forgetting his name? Ghost Rider, totally loony
Nick Cage.
actor Nick Cage. Yeah, they brought Nick
Uh,
Cage in as that Spider-Man, like as like the Spider-Man noir
yeah,
into the MCU. Like that'd be so wild, right? Like,
yeah. Well, I mean, at the very least, I think it could cross over into like What If relatively easily
mhm,
because the animation styles aren't all that different, you know.
no,
So, but I don't know. That'd have to be some coordination between Sony and Marvel that I don't know. Like they're clearly talk to each other. I don't know how much they talk to each other though. You
I
know?
mean, like I don't know, like Marvel and Disney and like Kevin Feige in particular seem to be putting in like a lot of the like groundwork and the actual like effort, it seems, on a lot of these projects. Um, Not to take away from like the directors of all the individual films, writers, all that jazz, but like that like trinity of those three seem to kind of be the driving force behind a lot of this, right? Sony, in terms of like their involvement in the MCU, is like, give us our paycheck, we'll give you Spider-Man. Like that's their whole thing. Like their involvement is literally just handing over a usage of the license of Spider-Man, and that seems to be the whole thing.
Yeah. Though they are making another or made another Venom movie, and then they made Mobius um,
Which
with
I
Jared
don't
Leto.
have high hopes for either of those movies, if I'm honest. After watching the trailer for Mobius at first, I immediately had a lot of questions of.
Well, they had Michael Keaton in there, if you remember,
Yeah, I
as
mean, like
as
Michael
the
Keaton,
Vulture, I think.
was that Michael Keaton or was that Venom 2?
Venom 2, I think they had the trailer for Venom 2 has Michael Keaton at the end, I think, doesn't it?
Yeah, like Mobius, however, is just
Or is it
Jared Leto.
Mobius that has I think it was Mobius that had one of the trailers had Michael Keaton as Vulture at the end of it. It's been a while since
Pretty,
I watched it though.
I'm
As
no,
Vulture.
you're totally right. It is absolutely Michael Keaton as Vulture,
Yeah.
but you're right. I'm trying to remember if it's Mobius or if it's
I don't
Venom
know.
2.
It doesn't
But
really matter. I just
but
remember the time
like
I'm like, holy moly, they're actually doing this. Yeah.
well, like I'm going to say something that depresses me greatly. And that is that I have more hopes now for Mobius as a film after having watched the trailer for Venom 2.
I honestly don't even remember it, which I guess I mean I watched it, I just don't remember it at all, like the trailer. But you know
So
it's being directed by, right?
don't off the top of my head.
Andy Serkis.
Oh, right. Yeah. Boy, what a man. I like Andy Serkis too.
I mean, it's just a trailer. It could be good.
See, here's I guess to be fair, would have seen a Venom 2. I don't think that's officially a trailer. It's a teaser trailer, right? Because it was very short. And not like very story driven. Well, no, they've officially dropped a trailer too, haven't they? Because like we've seen a lot more of like Carnage being involved.
Yeah, Woody Harrelson.
And so
Which
that
is an
being said,
inspired. That's good casting, I think. But
after seeing him in the more recent trailer, I would agree. When I first saw him at the end credits after Venom's runtime, I was very skeptical about Woody Harrelson's casting because he looked ridiculous. Like, he looked so dumb. He looked
yeah,
so dumb. But
yeah. Does he have like really like curly hair or something?
yeah,
Yeah.
like I mean, which I think to be fair, like representations um of our oh shoot, what's his name? Is it it's not Butch Cassidy, is it?
I don't know.
Hang on.
Is it a movie you're referencing? Because it could
No,
be. I haven't seen it.
no, like Carnage's
Oh,
Cletus Cassidy.
okay. Sorry, you're talking. Okay, I thought you were talking about like a cowboy.
No.
I feel like
Yeah,
Butch Cassidy
I
sounds
knew it
like
was Cassidy, but yeah, Cletus
yeah,
Cassidy.
Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid.
Yeah, like,
Yeah.
but yeah, like Cletus Cassidy, from my understanding and what I've seen of him, which again, a lot of my Spider-Man like lore and background is from the '90s Spider-Man animated series.
That
Um,
and the PlayStation game.
and the PlayStation game, yeah, which yeah, I played that on play. I guess I played that. I guess we played that on the N64 actually, but yeah, like
It was on the same engine that they did Tony Hawk with. I always thought.
really that's so funny.
Yeah. Hey,
fun,
yeah. There's a little
fun
bit of
game
trivia.
fact. But yeah, like Cletus usually has like that curly hair, like that curly red hair. He's traditionally a redhead, from my understanding, or from what I remember.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I always remember him from that Spider-Man game, Venom, or not Venom. Sorry, Carnage.
Carnage, yeah,
Yeah,
no, I remember that too.
I think there's like some sort of tunnel or something that you're. I can't remember, man. I just remember like.
Yeah, no, Carnage combines with Doc Ock, right? And they like chase you down a long hallway, and you have to like escape from him.
Yeah. Wow, man, it's all coming back. Yeah, I'm looking at pictures of him now on on Google Images.
Dude,
So
that okay. We're gonna go on a little brief tangent here. That game was fucking amazing back in the day. It was so good. Like I remember so fondly how good that game was. Like all the suits you could unlock and all the like different powers that they had. Like
can you see just real quick? Can you see like
yeah.
okay?
Yeah, that bottom one, like the third row down, like fucking he looked so comical in that. It's
I don't know,
so
man.
bad.
That's peak man right there. That's peak male.
Oh god, he looks so fucking goofy. But then like in another row, like that same row that you're highlighted on, like to the right there, that's what he looks like in the most recent trailer, right? If you go,
This one?
yeah, that one right there. Isn't that what he looks like now?
Yep. He looks
Looks
a little
like
better. Yeah.
he looks so much better. He looks like he's wearing like he clearly is wearing like a maroon wig in that fucking photo or like in that scene. But like in that shot, at least, it looks like more like real hair.
Here's this guy's in the new Suicide Squad movie as Polka Dot Man. Here's a
Oh
link
yeah.
Venom 2 set photo. Can you see that? Is that the hair you were liking there, Matt?
Oh god, it's even worse than the original. No, it's so bad.
I don't know. I kind of like it. It's like a little ridiculous.
I mean, he like Cletus Cassidy is supposed to be like certifiably insane.
Yeah, I don't know if you're gonna get anyone that looks quite like this. I think the
Dude,
closest is like William Dafoe or
no,
Willem
look
Dafoe
at the guy who played fucking yeah, that screenshot right there. That one right there that you're highlighted
that
on.
played
He played Rorschach in the
Rorschach.
original
Yeah,
Watchmen film. Yeah, that
yeah.
dude would have been perfect for
Jackie
this
Early
role.
Haley.
He would have been amazing as Cletus Cassidy. Why the fuck are they casting Woody Harrelson this bullshit?
Well, Woody Harrelson is a good actor.
He is. He is. Yeah, I don't disagree that he's a good actor. But
What
what
is
the
going on?
yeah? What is this comparison being made? What?
I don't know why they put that weird beard on Woody Harrelson.
I guess they're trying to make him look more like him. They're
Is Cletus Cassidy's hair like beard hair? Like I don't
Jesus
understand.
Christ. No,
Here you go.
I really legitimately have so many qualms with the many decisions of the comic community regarding how they their castings, you know.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I honestly didn't. What is going on here? Elvis, Cletus Cassidy's ex-girlfriend's son. I don't get it.
What?
Anyway, I'll stop scrolling through this and I'll stop sharing. Yeah.
See, this is why Sony can't fucking be trusted with these characters and properties. I'm
we
sorry.
haven't even seen it yet. It's probably fine. I think it'll be fine.
No, I have some serious concerns because the first Venom like was like middling in quality at best. And I feel like the only reason any of the Spider-Man movies have even like remotely turned out like well is because they've had a much more heavy influence by Marvel and by and by Disney at large, like in terms of its production and directing.
You mean like the Tom Holland ones?
Yeah, the Tom Holland films, like
Yeah, I get you there.
like those movies have turned out very, very well, and it's for good reason.
I really do like I like the first Spider-Man movie they came out with. I didn't like it that much, but like definitely the sequel, like Far From Home, I really liked. Right? Far From Home? Yeah, Far From Home.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
What was it? Homecoming and then Far From Home. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. And
No,
then the new one is No Way Home.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, after having watched the original Venom and just what I've seen trailers and teaser wise for both Mobius and for Venom 2, I just have so little faith in the ability of this studio to put out anything worth a damn.
I mean, I do like the actor that they got to play Venom. Why am I drawing? What's his name? I want to say Tom Brady, but it's not. What is this guy?
Then I wanted to say Tom Holland. No, it's
what is this guy?
I'm forgetting. Venom actor is Tom Hardy.
Tom Hardy. See, I got Tom. Well, we both got Tom.
Right. But yeah,
I got the Tom and the E part at the end of it. And you got the H at the beginning. So between Holland and Brady,
yeah,
like
between the two of us, we were able to come up with most of an actor's
yeah.
name. We should be ashamed of ourselves.
Yeah.
No, like I think Tom Hardy is a good actor. And I mean, honestly, I think a lot of the talent that's been in the MCU at large, and even like in the Sony films, has been good talent. I just have a lot of qualms about like the writing and the storytelling of these movies from Sony in particular. Because like I'm looking at the casting for Venom, and like Riz Ahmed, he played Riot, the anti. He's not anti-Venom. Anti-Venom is literally a character from the MCU or from Marvel Comics. He plays Riot, which is another symbiote from Marvel.
I remember that was yeah.
But yeah, like Riz Ahmed is a great actor. I remember him specifically from The Night of, a great series on, I think it was on HBO, if memory serves, HBO or Amazon.
Yeah, I haven't seen it.
But like it's a great crime drama about like a kid who gets in like way above his head in terms of like potential like murder charges being brought against him.
Yeah.
And
cool.
like
Well, he was also in that Star Wars movie, Rogue One. He's in that. And he's just recently in that heavy metal movie where the guy loses his hearing, which I'm drawing a blank on.
loses his hearing.
What is it? Give me a moment. Uno momento. Sound of Metal. Yep.
Sound of Metal.
Rogue One. He played Bodhi Rook. And I feel like I saw him in something else too that I don't know.
I'm seeing an animated documentary film called Flea. That was at Sundance.
Oh no, it's The Sound of Metal is literally what it's called. He plays a character Ruben Stone.
Ruben Stone. Oh, Sound of Metal. I see.
Yeah. Flea sounds like it could be a heavy metal movie, to be honest with you. I would think more of like a punk rock movie, maybe. Yeah.
I'd have to check that out, actually. That sounds cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Critical
Only because
it's an instant classic for this Flea film, apparently.
Yeah, because I really thoroughly enjoy Riz Ahmed. Like he's a really great actor. And like I said, like a lot of the actors they have in these movies are good actors. Like they have good characters, or good casting for these characters. It's just the writing is just dog shit at times.
Yeah. I actually thought what they did with Venom, like the actual character was fine. It was the movie that he was in that wasn't so great.
Mm-hmm.
And this movie actually made bank for Sony because it had like a budget of 100 to 116 million. It made $850 million worldwide. So
yeah, well, and like most of its success came from worldwide, like from overseas sales, from my memory. It didn't do very well domestically.
Yeah, it got about 213 million in the United States and Canada, and the rest of it was all made up with the rest of the world, which was about 642 million that it made worldwide. Which I don't know how that, like, if it's a typical, like, if it was a typical MCU movie, I'm kind of curious what that would look like. Like, just let's pull up like a random one, like Captain Marvel or something. I'm just kind of curious.
No, sure. I mean, I think that's an interesting comparison.
Box office for Captain Marvel. Yeah, Captain Marvel grossed 426.8 million in the US and 701.6 million in the world. And that movie actually made $1.128 billion. I'm actually surprised. I didn't think it made over $1 billion, but it did apparently.
So
but probably is riding some of that hype before Avengers came out. Like it was the last movie before Avengers, Endgame came out. So I wouldn't be surprised if it was getting some like fumes from that a little bit. From that. Yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean Venom definitely wasn't as much of a success as Captain Marvel. Like,
yeah, I mean, but still definitely was.
But that is like that does sound like a similar ratio in terms of like domestic versus foreign.
Which I think that's pretty common these days for most big budget movies, is they make the majority of their money overseas.
I guess it's fair. It's literally the U.S. versus the rest of the world in that regard.
Yeah, I think technically the U.S. and Canada are still like the biggest market of any market, but studios make most of their money like across the world overseas. So, but yes, I agree with you. It makes sense that they would make the majority of their money overseas, because America, as much as I hate to say it, is not the world.
Yeah. Well, I think a part of that is like, I know that like a lot of parts of Asia in particular, like China comes to mind, like keeps movies in theaters for a lot longer, like American films a lot longer. And I think it's because of the just the nature of the relationship between China and the US in terms of
Yeah.
films.
I don't
That
really
like
think China lets very many foreign films into their country each year either.
mhm.
So it's extremely competitive to get those slots in that country.
Yeah.
And
And if you
I know like Shang-Chi,
mhm.
I don't think I don't think they're gonna play it in China. And I think it's the same for the Eternals. They're not letting it into China to play.
I mean, that doesn't surprise me that much. Eternals is more of a question for me, but Shang-Chi, I could absolutely see why.
Huh.
Um,
Well, because Eternals is directed by Chloe Zhao, who directed Nomadland, and she had said some kind of controversial things apparently about China. So that was why there was some maybe a little bit of pushback there. But I don't know why they wouldn't let Shang-Chi in. you
I
know?
feel like with Shang-Chi, it's literally just because of like, I don't want to call it cultural appropriation, but like it could be perceived like that or in
Yeah.
some way associated that way.
Well, I mean, Mulan, I don't think that did that well over there either. But you know
No,
what's the
yeah.
biggest controversy about Shang-Chi
Hmm,
over in China is
hmm,
that they do not like the main actor. I think his name is Simon Liu or something like that.
yeah.
Simu Liu. I can't, oh man, I'm probably butchering that, and I apologize. But yeah, they all think he like is really super ugly, and they're all like complaining about it.
That's why?
Yeah, they do not like it. They do not like the actor
Dude,
Simu Liu.
he's a
Simu Liu.
yeah, Samu Lu,
Yeah,
Simu.
I don't know. We're butchering it. I'm not gonna say it anymore.
But
um,
but dude,
yeah,
he's a
they think he's
stud.
no. It's because like traditional uh popular actors in China uh are very thin and very boyish looking.
Mhm.
They would look more like me rather than like a Chris Hemsworth. you
Yeah,
know.
because I'm looking at photos of this guy with his shirt off, and like I'd let him lead me if we were dancing.
no,
Like,
yeah. Apparently, they just think he's ugly. So,
God, what a damn shame. That
yeah.
just seems like
There's a subreddit. I can't remember what it's called, but like they mentioned it on our Marvel Studios or whatever the subreddit is, and it's called like Our Asian Identity, I think. And yeah, I was not expecting how much they did not like, how much controversy there was about this movie with like the Asian community, just because they thought the main actor was not very good looking, and also because Aquafina they find not very good looking. They say like it's like if they made an MC movie specifically like let's say for like white people, and they casted like Jonah Hill and like I don't know, what am I doing? Amy Schumer is like the best looking people that white people like.
that's the comparison you heard, really?
Yeah, or something like that.
Wow, that just seems
Let's say
so.
Jonah Hill and like Amy Schumer.
That just seems so over the top because like comparison wise, like I'm sure if you showed me a comparison of like a comparison of like what is considered good looking or beautiful by comparison to this guy, that like maybe I could be like, okay, I can see a difference there. But like that just seems like such a huge jump in like nothing against Jonah Hill or anything. But like there's definitely a big difference between like him even in like a like relatively like average looking guy, you know. So that just like yeah, that just seems or like average looking American dude. So I don't know. That just seems like such a huge jump. But I don't know.
Do you think I'm like a mixture between like Jonah Hill and Michael Cera?
I mean, maybe. Really, the only thing that would like lead me to go like Jonah Hill on you would like
The
maybe
beard.
be it's the beard. Yeah, 100%. It's just the beard. Like that's
Yeah.
really all it is. Um, Yeah, like that would be my only like point of comparison there.
But Michael Cera, you can kind of see.
Yeah. See, but like your head's longer than Sarah's is.
Yeah.
Sarah has like a very like kind of like squarish head. So like that, I feel like that comparison doesn't come out very well. But
Do you want to know something kind of weird that kind of caught me off guard? This is totally not Marvel related.
please.
I should probably like think about signing off here too in a second. But like the other day, like this. Well, so first off, okay, so I was at this like thing, and like a bunch of people told me like, yeah, like you look like your facial structure looks Italian, and I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. I've literally, I've never thought that before. But then like that brought me back to when I was like at the credit union, and there was this little Italian woman. Every time she came in, she would walk up to the counter. I would like walk over and be like, are you from Italy?" And I'm like, "No." She's like, "You look like you're from Italy. You look like I would see someone in Italy." And I'm like, "What is going?" Like then it like brought me back to that. I'm like,
Mhm.
maybe I do look Italian. Like maybe I look like Northern Italian or something. I was just kind of, I don't know.
It's very funny. I've had a very similar experience, but with a German woman.
Really?
Yeah, I was. It was from years ago. You might remember when I took a trip to Washington D.C. for
Yeah.
like a mock Congress thing.
Uh-huh.
Um, I was standing in an airport by myself. Like I was waiting for my gate to open, and this German woman comes up to me and starts talking. Now, the only reason I assumed she was German was because she was speaking German. Um, so it seems like a decent leap of logic. And I'm just staring at her wide eyed. I'm like a 17-year-old kid who's like just trying to get on an airplane. I've never flown by myself before, and she's speaking
Yeah.
German to me. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I don't speak German. She's like, oh, I'm sorry. Do you know where this gate is? And she like asked me like where she needed to go. And I was like, oh, I think you need to go that way. Point her on her merry way. She's like, I just thought you were German. Well, have a good day. And off she goes. I'm like, that's as far as the interaction went.
Weird. Are you German at all?
As far as I'm aware, no. Like I I presumed that I had some German roots only after that interaction because that woman seemed
Yeah.
so sure. She was so sure I was German that she assumed I spoke it and then like didn't even prompt it. She just like came up and started like I don't even remember a goddamn Guten Tag. It was just getting straight to the business, you know?
Yeah.
But
Yeah. I don't know. Like I don't think I have any Italian roots either. It's just interesting. Maybe like Northern Italy, like I was saying. Like I don't think. Obviously, don't come from Sicily or something. So
right. Like,
I'm too pale for that, you know. So
yeah, I mean, I always think of like a, you know, the phrase olive complexion comes to mind, you know.
yeah. Well, I think Italy has like a lot more different areas than people think it does. Like I think
Mhm.
Northern Italy is a lot more similar to like Austria and stuff like that than maybe like Southern Italy.
Sure. Okay, I could see that. I
Yeah.
mean, we should probably assume that about most countries is that they have a lot more diversity in terms of how they look than like what is represented, especially in films and television
Yeah.
here in the
I think
U.S.
well, I think you know, us in the US really have a very specific idea of what an Italian person looks like, you know,
Mm,
like because we have so many mob movies.
right.
And I think a lot of the
Yeah.
mob comes out of like southern Italy and Sicily and stuff, places like that, not like
Mhm.
northern Italy. So, but,
Interesting. That's really too
but
funny.
I don't know. I don't think you look German, but what do I know? I don't think I look Italian. For what it's
Um,
worth,
I mean,
I think you look
who's
Irish. I think you look straight out of Ireland.
I mean, no, I mean, I guess I'll take that as a compliment. Like where I was born is a fucking geographic accident, but like I'm trying to remember the name of the actor I get compared to all the time. I say all the time. My sister thinks I look like Jim Sturgis.
Jim Sturgis. I don't even know
Yeah,
who that is. Jim Sturgis.
yeah. That's the comparison she makes. And there's like one photo in particular that like I think I look most like him.
I can see
Um,
that. You kind of have the same eyebrows.
Kind of the same eyebrows. I feel like we kind of have the same nose, except mine's a little bit more of a schnauzer to his. But
Yeah. I mean, it's not identical, but I definitely like if if he like got cut off like right here, I can
Mhm.
definitely see it.
Yeah, right. Like, yeah,
Yeah. I
I
think actually
generally,
if you had your nose, I think you guys would look really similar.
yeah, the beard definitely throws it off because he seems to go back and forth on the beard.
Huh. Yeah, just make up your mind already, Jim Sturgis. Are you gonna have a beard or not? Like,
I mean, I've embraced the beard life.
yeah.
Beard is life. Beard is love.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I just get compared to like I get this all the time where it's like you look like a guy I know, like you look like my best friend, you look like blank, you look like somebody's brother that I like. Do I just look like everybody? Like why everyone
Really?
say I'm like looking like people all the time?
That's so funny. I mean, I've known you for years, Nick, and like I've never once had the thought of you having one of those faces of like
That's
you look like everyone.
yeah.
Like that's never once occurred to me before.
Huh.
I've always thought because I mean, there's been one comparison that gets brought up for you all the time that I know you don't like
What?
generally, and like that's like the John Lennon comparison.
Oh
Like,
really? Huh. I
yeah,
don't hate that. I don't think I look that much like John Lennon either.
I remember back when your hair was longer, like you
Yeah,
would get that
the glasses
comparison
were different too.
all the time. Yeah, like but it's the glasses for sure.
Yeah.
And
The one I got in college was Spider-Man.
yeah, Tobey Maguire. That's right. I
Yeah.
remember that one too.
Yeah, and I would occasionally get Harry Potter as well, but definitely the Spider-Man one was the
But it's like it's all just people with glasses. It's like people's creativity in terms of what you look like is based
yeah.
entirely on what frames you're wearing at the time. It's
Yeah.
like-
Yeah, I don't know. I also got I think I remember someone once compared me to like the main actor in like the Garfield movies. I'm trying to like
Shoot, I'm trying to think. There was a main actor in
live action. Yeah.
Garfield film. Who the hell was in this movie? Um, show me the cast. If I look up this movie, I'm looking for the cast. Breckin Meyer?
Here, I'll
Because
just
he plays John Arbuckle.
yeah. This guy. Can you see my screen?
No, but like I'm looking at a picture of him like right now,
Oh shoot. Okay.
and
This guy.
like I guess I could see that a little bit.
Maybe like similar head shape, maybe. I've only gotten that one once. I've gotten lots of people though.
I think similar head shape, and then like,
I don't know. That doesn't really look like my head.
but like the thing that draws me is the nose.
Yeah.
You
I
have
can see
similar
that.
noses because both of you have clearly had your nose broken at some point before. Like that's what jumps to my mind. Nick, I have to say something.
What?
You have one, you need to absolutely you need to make sure you gloss out your email at the top of this because you just showed it during that screen share.
Oh, the Gausser 23.
Yeah.
Oh, that's fine. I
But
mean,
you have 16,000 unread emails. So what the fuck is wrong with you?
yeah, I never delete them.
Jesus Christ. I thought I was bad. I get like 600 unread emails and I'm sweating. You're over here with 16,000.
Yeah, I'm bad. I'm
What
bad, I
the-
know.
Holy fuck.
Yeah.
That was really funny.
Yeah, no, I mean the email's fine. It's pretty I don't think there's any I use it for most everything, so I don't think it's gonna be an issue. Who knows?
But that being said, I know you have somewhere to be. I don't know. We've gone way off track here.
I find this
where we
conversation
started.
interesting. So
I do too, but we have gone so off track for where we started,
yeah.
which was Loki.
Yeah.
I guess let's have some closing thoughts here on Loki. So I think we're both on the same page in terms of like we think Kang the Conqueror is going to be our baddie for this show. And that we're going to see his lair wherever that may be, apparently at the end of the universe in this next episode. Because this is the second to last episode. Is the next one? Yes.
No, this is the last one next.
That's the last one. What? Oh, we're gonna have to move into what if right away. Um, but yeah, like I think that's definitely. I think we're in agreement there that that's kind of where they're heading. The story. Any wild takes that you have regarding like where you think where the show is headed, or
Well, I do think it's interesting the show is going to get a second season. I'm curious, obviously, what that means. Like, are we going to keep Tom Hiddleston? Are we going to move over to Lady Loki as the new sort of heroine of the show? I kind of still feel like we're going to keep Tom Hiddleston around, but I'm curious where it's all going. I still have this, like, I guess, overarching thought that really the theme of the show is about free will, and it's about like love. Obviously, there's a big component of like love and loving them yourself, sort of, I think.
Mhm.
And just this kind of like fluid Loki gonna take down like the dam that's the TVA, and I'm kind of curious how it's all gonna kind of mesh together and kind of coalesce into something that hopefully makes sense. Or maybe I'm off on the themes of the show and it's not going to go anywhere in that direction. But I do think love and free will, because free will is a huge part of it, I think.
Mhm.
It's like, I was like thinking there's a quote, and we're getting off topic here. I'm going to make it quick. But there's like a really good quote in the original Avengers movie by Loki. And I think it's kind of went unexplored a little bit. And I think it's getting explored here. And the quote, you'll probably remember when I say it, is freedom is life's great lie. Once you accept that in your heart, you will know peace. So
Yeah, that's when
Loki, yeah, he says that to a group of Germans, and then there's one guy who survived the Holocaust that I believe does not like kneel.
Yeah, an old man who stands and says, like,
Yeah.
there's always men like you.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that line maybe is informing this show more than at least I've really contemplated fully. So I'm gonna see where it ends up. I'm just not as excited to like beat up the show as I was with Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Like, I loved making fun of that stupid Carly Morgenthau character. Like, I hated that character. Like, it was fun to hate on that character. And I just liked WandaVision. I liked all the theories in that one like so much. Like, I really
Right.
that my imagination was huge in that one, and it might just
So
because it was the first one that came out after this huge like uh sorry, I think I like see a spider. Like this drought of MCU content. So it's still a good show. It's just I'm you know what I'm saying.
So your issue with the show is it's not explosive enough to keep your interest like WandaVision, and it's not memeable enough as Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Yeah, I this show feels like it should be longer than 6 episodes. I'll just say that.
I would 100% agree. I think 6 episodes is not quite enough to really drive the story home.
I feel like if it was 8 episodes, it would have been better. Like, because you needed some more time. Like, you keep hearing that Mobius and Loki are like, oh, we're best friends. I'm like, they knew each other for like a day. Like, how are they best friends at this point? I wanted them to like have like more like back and forth or kind of zany stuff they did before we kind of launched into this sort of end game situation of the show. But that's just
I'm really hoping that I want Mobius to get at least like just a moment on a jet ski.
I'm sure we will.
So like I really hope he gets that for himself, because Owen Wilson's been killing it as this character. And I'm also really hoping for at least one. Oh wow! Like before the show ends.
I guess the one of the people behind the show said that's not going to happen, for what it's worth. But yeah, I should probably get going. I said I'd be there by 8, so I'm already kind of pushing it.
No. Well, I want to thank you all for joining us on this episode of the Nerds of the North podcast. You've all been a great audience, and we're so excited to hear all your feedback. Murmur. Yeah, we're hoping to be putting these episodes out more publicly sometime in the future. Maybe this will be more of a look back of, like, oh, look, those Nerds of the North nerds back in the day before they were wildly famous and rich.
Yep.
Who knows? Hopefully this will be an interesting introspective sometime in the future. Otherwise, we're doing this for no one, which
I'm doing
whatever.
it for us, man.
Yeah, who gives a shit? But yeah, thank you all for joining us today. Yeah, we'll definitely at some point probably have links and descriptions and comments that we're asking for. But for the time being, we're looking for discourse on our discussion of the show. And yeah, thanks for joining us today, and hope you have a great rest of your week before our next episode, where we discuss the finale of Loki through Disney Plus. Thanks, everyone.
Smell you later.